Of course, Aries is an Otokonoko. Why not? Why not? It is so funny. After finishing pretty much all my fall 2025 anime season first impressions, the one show that keeps popping up in my head as one that I'm actually thinking on and actually kind of digging into and really enjoying what intrigue it's kind of providing me is A While Last Boss Appears. It is so crazy. Of all the shows, I did a first impression of the first episode and it was okay. It was like, okay, a female version of Overlord. But then the second episode comes out and I really wanted to make a video on that. Really kind of open up the world a lot, kind of flip the entire script, then go into the third episode and then the fourth episode. Like it keeps giving me something that I want to talk about. So I'm finally able to sit down and record a video and talk to you guys about what I've been wanting to talk about this entire time. Dena is sus. Dena is sus as hell. It is so funny. Like episode 2 opens up with Dena talking about the fact that she can pretty much rewrite people's minds. She can give people personalities and she can erase memories and implant memories. And I'm going, oh, this coming from the chick that says that she was in the background. Oh, you didn't notice me? I was right there. You remember I was right there, rewrite. And then later on, Aries literally says the same thing. It could be an ongoing joke. Let's be honest. It could be a recurring joke. Sure. You don't know who I am? I was over there, remember? Oh, yeah, I seem to remember you over there. Person that can rewrite memories and grant personalities. I don't know. I'm kind of wondering. The other thing that kind of adds to it is the end of episode 4. We get the appearance of somebody that looks just like Lufus. Now, technically, this could be the Lufus of this world reappearing and has been manipulated somehow. And the Lufus that we're following, the main character coming into that, could be a cloned Lufus. I don't know. But again, it kind of goes that whole idea. If there is a potentially another Lufus here, could Dena have implanted memories into somebody else and called them Lufus, which is the player himself? And then there's going around and just rewriting everybody's memories to think that they've always been a part of the group just to build them up to fight against something. Now, yes, somebody did point out to me, hey, look at the goddess that's in the loading screen on his computer. It kind of looked like Dena. Now, yes, technically Dena could be the goddess, and that would explain why she would have such incredible power as being able to rewrite things, because this is supposed to be an advisor character. This is supposed to be just a random NPC, and they have the ability to teleport things around, preserve meat, again, rewrite memories, grant people personalities. That sounds way more than a random NPC that's like recruitable. Again, the whole idea of like Dena and them was this idea of, again, finding random NPCs out in the middle of nowhere and recruiting them. And yes, Aries has definitely proven that they can build themselves up to be incredibly powerful. I think Aries got up to 500, maybe 800. Maybe it was 800. Yeah, it was 800. 500 was the golem. Again, Dena's sus. Dena's massive sus. She knows way too much. She has way too OP abilities. And again, yes, I can acknowledge that she kind of looks like the goddess in the loading screen of the game. That aside, though, I have been really enjoying this show. I think the more intriguing thing is building up the idea of the fallen world. And the idea that, like, in the earlier segments of episode 2, it gets in the idea of, why didn't anybody handle these orcs? Now, my mind was immediately thinking, typically in, like, written lore, orcs are really dangerous. They're really dangerous. Goblins, especially, and orcs are really dangerous in the idea that, yeah, they're power in numbers, and they're very clever. And so, yeah, typically whenever you do see things like this, it's like the whole Goblin Slayer thing. Everybody discounts goblins, but in actuality, they're some of the most fierce things. They're dangerous. They invade people. And yes, they take the women. They're very clever. They're very disgusting. Now, yes, in this world, it plays it out as if the orcs themselves, like, are very gentle to the women because they want to win them over. And they haven't touched these women, thank goodness. But it's still like, yeah, that's typically why they're so dangerous, is because of the numbers of them. But no, what Dena ends up getting into is the idea that the standards for mankind has plummeted since the era that you were there. Since the player himself was in that game world playing the game, everybody was maxing out their levels. Everybody was at level 1000. It's just a video game. People log in, they grind, and they log out. But in the logic of an actual world, which Diva is putting it, it makes sense that people aren't going to spend their entire lives, day and night, swinging a sword to achieve 1000. It makes sense in a gamified way, but it doesn't make sense for an actual person with a limited lifespan in an actual world to do that. to swing a sword for 100 years when you're a human, and then croak and you only achieve like level 80. It doesn't make any sense. So the standards itself has gone down. But as we see later on, getting into Megres' story, which I think was a great setup, I'm glad they didn't make him into a player. Thank you. Now, there is still a chance that this other Lufus-looking character could be a player. I can see that. It being an idea of the two of them are playing against each other. They technically did say something to the effect of, this is the game or something like that, and that could signify that. I hope not. Again, I've said before, I'll say it again, I've never liked the idea of isekai into the world and they're against some other isekai. It kind of ruins it. I like the world. I like the world that they're in. I don't want to have it be just a big game between two people. But either way, I was glad that Megres was not a player. But what they end up doing with it was actually very interesting, and the idea that it is the person within the world. And even Lufus himself had a brief moment of kind of being conflicted about that. What does the actual Lufus think about being betrayed by these guys? Because that was the whole setup. That was the original story when they were playing the game. Again, Lufus the player, the guy playing Lufus, went in there and conquered everything and had all these friends. And then he conspired with them outside the game. Hey guys, let's make this more interesting because it's going to be boring. Come and take me out. Betray me and take me down because I was conquering everything. That was the story. Megres, the player, played as Megres to betray Lufus. So yeah, Lufus himself, and he's thinking about the character, thinks, what does she think about being betrayed? I don't mind. So how do I reply? Oh, I'm going to just reply the way that I would. Don't worry about it. You're a proud leader. You've been leading them for 200 years. Stand tall and take this nation and lead it. Be proud that you won. Don't cower. Don't be weakened. All that stuff is really cool. Which, by the way, the curse itself was kind of interesting. The idea that Megres lost like half of their... If you lose the Demon Lord himself, you get cursed to lose like 50% of your potential. Literally lost 50% of everything and cannot like gain it back, apparently. That was pretty crazy. That's a really bad negative impact in a game. If you fight the final boss in an MMO, he literally curses you for half of all of your stats and everything. Quit game. That would be like, that's a hardcore mode. Like, I would be quit. There'd be no reason to keep playing the game. Just quit. I mean, technically, yes, if it was a game about building nations and stuff like that, then you have other things in the game to play as and do, but no, I wouldn't be able to do it. But anyways, getting back to Megres' story, which I think is really encompassed in the town itself, and the idea that he created this entire nation, built this golem that is built around it, which, yes, they imply the fact that the golem was summoned before he lost all of his power, and thus it was half, but he would not be able to summon something like that ever again. But no, the moment that Lufus went in there and started reading the books, that's where it starts Megres' story in full. And the idea that this place is full of books that are literally saying the heroes were wrong. He's like, why are all these books here? Wouldn't this be treason? They're literally like defaming the person that leads this country. We find out later on, Megres collected all those. Megres wanted those books. These books are literally saying the heroes made a mistake. By taking down Lufus, they made a mistake. And I like how Dena kind of puts it, yes, over time, people are going to forget about that fear of Lufus themselves. But yeah, shocker here. You're kind of light. That, yeah, there's a lot of people in the current situation there now, which we find out is really dire, that would have think, okay, it was kind of great when she was the leader. When Lufus was leading, they conquered everything. They nearly took over the entire world. And then the heroes rose up, took them down, and now look at where we're at. We're on this little spot right here. This is all we have left of this entire world that we can actually survive. Before we were out here, Lufus was taking down those that were being tyrannical. They were taking care of people. Nobody was suffering. And then the heroes rose up to stop this conqueror. And now we're in this situation. That's what Megres gets into. That's when it eventually gets to Megres. I got those books because he has massive regrets. I took you down, and now look at us. You were so much better than we were. I messed up everything. Of course he would have that regrets. And it's cool, the idea that, again, because he's not the player, he can have those regrets. Now, it would have been kind of interesting to have somebody that, yes, was the player, isekai'd into the world immediately after defeating Lufus, and then living those 200 years in this world that is fallen apart and eventually become Megres. That could have been actually interesting, but they chose to go the route that, no, this is literally Megres the elf who sought to build a world where elves could stand tall and prove that they are just as strong as everybody else. And in the end, after betraying Lufus, again, in the mind of the character, betrayed Lufus, they should hate me, and I made a massive mistake, and I've been living with that for 200 years. It is a cool setup there. It is a very cool setup there. And I hope that they can kind of do something unique with the other ones, because I think what they say, there was like 2 other long-lived heroes that are still alive. I think that would actually be pretty interesting to kind of get a different example from each one of them. I don't know how else they can kind of take the direction. Maybe in some sort of other region where they're having to fight all the time, or they're possibly trying to build up so they can take down the Demon Lord the next time. But again, they're all going to be crippled with a curse. They can't fight the Demon Lord. They can't achieve higher than 500. And if they all lost at what I think they were at 1,000 before, if they all lost at 1,000 before, how are they going to beat them at 500? Again, unless they can build up the forces to do it. It's a cool concept. I think that Megres' story, and again, is pretty much the story of the humans in current state, was very interesting. Building up that nation, trying to just scrounge survive. 200 years of trying to defend themselves against, like, it was technically here recently that Aries was starting to attack, but defending their what remaining that they have, and then suddenly out of nowhere Lufus shows up and just one-shots everything. I love the distance shot of Aries, and you see this big sheep being thrown around, and Megres is just sitting there watching. Like, what has this all been for? It was great. It was great. Good stuff, though. Good stuff, though. Gantz is also kind of very sus. They met Gantz at Megres' place, and that guy seems to know who Lufus is. Why? Now, yes, there's books of Lufus. There's the legends of Lufus. But what would tip him off that it's Lufus? I guess technically could be the fact that they're walking with Aries. And, hey, that seems a little sus there. If he knows who Aries is, I don't know if they introduced themselves. He just said, this cute girl or whatever, and they're like, oh, that's actually a boy. That's actually Otokonoko. But again, he did see Lufus flying and attacking Aries. And then again, reintroduces himself later. He knows that the person who defeated Aries is this person in front of him. I guess that makes sense that he could technically potentially see that it's Lufus. This is a very powerful person that's able to take on this thing. But again, I don't see him being a human knowing firsthand anything about Lufus unless he ends up being somebody special. Then there's the aspect that, yes, technically we randomly decide to name some random NPC in the middle of the town. He's got to be important somehow. I don't know. Everybody's sus to me. Everybody's sus to me. The whole thing with Aries was great too, though. This idea of this like rainbow sheep that is like a super massive rare spawn. Because again, that was the whole idea of what Lufus was recruiting for the NPCs inside the lair, is to find really rare recruitable NPCs. And so he went out and found, I'm guessing, this really rare spawn sheep and ended up recruiting it. It's like this weak thing that has extremely valuable wool. And so everybody wants to kill it. And so he just says, why don't you fight back? Oh, good job. You bit me. All right, join me. Get stronger. And sure enough, Aries did. Went out there and trained to get revenge this entire time, being manipulated by one of the Devilkin's people. But yeah, just like petting it. It's been a long time. I get to pet you in the belly, pet you in the face, just smacking Aries around. Like I said, this whole sheep in the, like this far distant shot, this sheep is going up and down, eventually beating it and turning into Otokonoko. Yeah, they end up having like an aftercast where they were talking to his friends. Hey, I have all these characters. What form do you usually take? And they're like, yeah, I usually go from like the neck down humanoid. And then he's like, yeah, but it's actually a boy. Oh, well, Otokonoko's totally in right now. Go with that. Sure enough. There was a chance that it was still going to be a girl, and they were just thinking it was a boy, but no, they went the Otokonoko route. What else happened? I guess technically they went off to Mars to fight him. That was Shrug. He's super OP, takes down Mars, takes control of all the dudes, sends them home, and then goes back to Megres before they decide they're going to go check out Libra. The grave of Lufus, where there's all the treasures that's all been piled up. They built this massive monument, and Libra is actually defending it. I think that pretty much covers everything. It was a good 3 episodes. Really enjoyed it. Oh yeah, there was one other thing I wanted to talk about. I did like usual, this sense of the two selves of Lufus. I always like whenever they have these brief moments where he recalls a memory that is not his own. He goes, oh, what is that memory? Again, more memories that aren't mine. I'm surprised it didn't happen when he first confronted Megres afterwards. Because again, he keeps referring to Megres as a friend, and Megres keeps getting upset by that, is tormented by that, obviously. And again, when they finally get alone together, Luffy is like, oh, yes, you were right. It is me, your friend, your old friend. And Megres is like pained. Like, oh, no, this isn't a happy moment. Again, because if this was the player, he'd be going like, what's up, dude? It's you? It's actually the player? What's up, man? I've been here for a while. What's going on, man? This is crazy. You're stuck in here too? But no, since it's the actual character, all Megres can think of is this is this person that should despise me because I betrayed them, took them down, and screwed up everything. All he can think of is regret. I do like that expression that he has on his face temporarily. But again, I was kind of bummed out that it didn't at least have a moment of jumping into Luffy's thoughts, the actual memories of the character in this moment. This is one of those one rare moments where he doesn't. He just goes, oh, never mind. I'll just tell him what he needs to hear, which is literally, you need to lead. Go back to being the old Jew. The one that was so great and so proud and so strong. One of the leaders that took me down. Be proud of that. Because honestly, technically this nation needs right now because it's kind of in crap. Anyways, that's my thoughts on While Last Boss Appears last 3 episodes. Really cool stuff. Really finding this stuff intriguing. Really cool world building and everything. But I hope you guys enjoyed it as always. If you did, hit the like button down below. Leave a comment. If you like this content, make sure to share it out with your friends. I might cover this on a weekly basis depending on how well it does. And if there's more to talk about, we'll see. It might end up being a Sunday show that I cover it there. Because I do have another show on Saturday I want to cover. But we'll see, as always. But anyways, hope you guys enjoyed. Until next time, y'all take care.